All right, let's get right into it. You've probably noticed that search has totally changed. I mean, you're not just typing keywords anymore, right? You can ask a full-blown question, you can search with an image, you can even find a song just by humming it. Now, this isn't magic, it's a huge shift in how computers understand ideas. But this new power comes with this really fascinating secret dilemma. To be crazy fast, AI search actually has to give up on being perfect.
So, how in the world does it work? How does an AI find the vibe of a happy dog playing in a field instead of just finding photos that have those exact words as a tag? Well, the secret sauce is a technology called vector search. The big idea is to turn any piece of data, text, a picture, a sound, you name it, into a long list of numbers. We call that a vector. The AI then just looks for vectors that are mathematically close to each other. This is the engine behind pretty much everything you use, from ChatGPT to your Netflix recommendations.
You know, at its core, the problem is actually really simple to say out loud. You've got your query, your idea, which is now a vector, and you have a massive database with billions of other vectors. The goal? Find the closest one, the most similar idea, its nearest neighbor. And you have to do it almost instantly. But as you can guess, just because it's simple to say doesn't mean it's simple to solve, especially when almost instantly is the #1 rule.
And this gets us to the main event, the central conflict of modern search. When you're dealing with the scale of today's internet, finding that one single, absolutely perfect match is, well, it's pretty much impossible if you also want the answer in the blink of an eye. You can have perfection or you can have speed. You really can't have both.
Think of it this way. A perfect exact search is like going through every single book in a library, one by one, to find the one that best matches what you're looking for. Yeah, it's guaranteed to be 100% accurate, but what if that library has a billion books? You'd be waiting for minutes, maybe even longer. And in our world, if a search takes more than a few milliseconds, we all think it's broken. So that perfect method, it's just way too slow to be useful.
So why is this so incredibly hard? Well, the villain of our story is this bizarre mathematical thing called the curse of high dimensions. It's a term that was first coined by mathematician Richard Bellman. See, to an AI, an idea isn't just a word, it's a point in space with hundreds, sometimes even thousands of dimensions. And in that kind of space, our everyday, common-sense feeling about what's close and what's far completely breaks down.
And this is where our brains just kind of shatter. In our normal 2D or 3D world, things are simple, right? Your neighbor's house is close, a city on the other side of the planet is far. But in the 1,000-dimensional space where these AI concepts live, something really strange happens. The distance to the closest point and the distance to the farthest point become almost identical. It's like everything becomes an orphan, equally distant from everything else. So weird. And this isn't just a metaphor. It's a real mathematical thing called distance concentration. What it means is that in this high-dimensional space, the whole concept of a neighborhood just starts to lose all meaning. If everything is roughly the same distance away from you, how can you possibly find the nearest one in any efficient way? This is the curse that makes a perfect exact search a no-go at scale. So, if a perfect search is off the table, what do? We approximate. Engineers have come up with these brilliant algorithms, these are the heroes of our story, that make a really critical trade-off. They agree to give up a tiny, tiny fraction of accuracy to gain a massive, thousand-fold increase in speed. These are called approximate nearest neighbor, or ANN algorithms. Let's meet the three main contenders.
First up is IVF, which stands for inverted file. The easiest way to think about it is like a really smart librarian. Instead of searching every single book in the librarian first groups all the books into sections, like history or science. When you ask a question, they only look in the couple of sections that are most relevant. It's a simple but really effective way to narrow down the search space. Next, we have HNSW. That stands for Hierarchical Navigable Small Worlds. Now, this one is less like a library and a lot more like a national highway system. It builds this multi-layered graph connecting all the data points, creating these express lanes that let your search query just jump across huge regions of the data to get to the right neighborhood very, very quickly. It's fantastic when you need a single result fast.
And finally, we've got Google's algorithm, SCAN. SCAN is like a smart compressor. It squishes all the data down to save space and speed things up. But it has this genius trick. It compresses those numerical vectors in a special way that actually preserves their relative distances. So even in the smaller, compressed format, the closest neighbors stay close. It's a real top performer, especially for ranking. Okay, so we've got these three amazing algorithms.
But how do we actually measure the trade-offs they're making? This is where we get to the real heart of the matter. We need to see the cost of chasing that last tiny little bit of perfection. And it all really comes down to one single critical metric. And that metric is called recall. Recall is actually super simple. It's just the percentage of the actual top results that the algorithm manages to find. So, if the algorithm finds 95 out of the true top 100 results, we say it has 95% recall. A perfect brute force search, that has 100% recall. The whole game for these approximate algorithms is to get recall as high as possible, as fast as possible.
And this is where you really see the law of diminishing returns in action. Getting to 90 or 95% recall is pretty cheap and fast, but pushing beyond that gets exponentially more expensive. To get from 99% recall to 99.9% recall, you might have to double your computational cost, which means your speed gets cut in half. Chasing that last tiny fraction of a percent of perfection comes with a punishing cost.
Let's look at some real-world numbers for a second. This benchmark shows how many queries per second each algorithm can handle while still hitting that high 95% recall target. Look at this. IVF is solid, but HNSW is over 6 times faster. And then you've got scan, which is twice as fast as HNSW, processing an incredible 40,000 queries every single second. This just goes to show that the choice of algorithm isn't some small tweak, it's an absolute game changer for performance.
So this begs the obvious question. If they're all so different, how do you pick the right one? Well, the answer depends entirely on what you're trying to build. There is no single best algorithm. There is only the best tool for a specific job.
So it all builds into this kind of decision framework. If you need the absolute fastest response for a single user's query, like say for real-time recommendations, HNSW's graph structure is your best bet. But if you're processing millions of queries all at once in a batch, maybe analyzing trends overnight, scan's efficiency just shines. And if you're working with a billion-scale dataset but you have limited computer memory, well, the compact, compressed nature of IVF is really the only way to go. It's all about matching the algorithm's strengths to your system's needs.
And that leaves us with a final thought. We started this whole thing by accepting that a perfect search was just too slow. But as our datasets grow from billions to trillions of items, the cost of even getting 99% recall might become way too high. The fundamental trade-off we've explored today isn't going away. If anything, it's becoming more extreme. So the real question for the future of AI isn't about how we can finally achieve perfection, but maybe how we redefine our standards to accept that good enough is the only way forward.